Chief, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
Read your paper, keep it busy though.
I'm trying.
Well, the board wanted you to come here and give us an update on the drug investigation that you launched, that Chief Donovan's had done.
As the board is well aware, in around October of 2008, I initiated an internal investigation into the theft of the missing brush in the Dracut Police Department in 2003. I enlisted the assistance of Chief Donovan, who was at that time the chief of the NIMLAC Internal Affairs Unit. He's been conducting this investigation from November of 2008 to present. We believe we may be close to the end of this investigation. However, at this point, the federal agency has gotten involved. I'm not at liberty to discuss any of what they're looking at or even the agency that they are. It's just that we do have a federal agency involved. Other questions?
Sure, Chief.
Just so you know, the difference between a criminal investigation, which I'm sure somebody knows, and a journal investigation, the Middlesex County District Attorney's Office had this case. Their standard of evidence is probable cause to charge and then beyond a reasonable doubt to convict someone. After reviewing the evidence going to the grand jury, they didn't believe they had a beyond a reasonable doubt evidence to proceed with any type of case. They didn't feel confident at that time there was enough evidence. 6 years later, 7 years later, they authorized the chief to begin an internal investigation. The standard of evidence in an internal investigation, an administrative matter, is the preponderance of evidence is 51% compared to 49%. It's a much lower standard than beyond a reasonable doubt. We started the investigation, and not so much as just to find the guilty parties, but certainly to clear all the good officers that the Dracut Police Department has. This isn't a one-sided investigation. This is certainly we've gone to great painstaking efforts to clear people as well as to find out who the perpetrators were. We have a lot of evidence. I had anticipated completing the investigation by December. Okay, I started writing the reports up. The federal agency that we're involved in basically said they're very interested. They did their preliminary review, and in January, the end of January, beginning of February, we presented the lead investigator in that case, presented that evidence to her boss. And they're going to make a decision in 2 weeks whether to do a full-fledged investigation. The information that would pertain to my report and my internal investigation could compromise what they're trying to accomplish. And certainly if I published that report, it would compromise some of the things and some of the people involved in the investigation. We've got a lot of hours into this, hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of hours into this investigation. And there's a lot of problems with this investigation. Number one, it's old. Number two, some of the people involved in this, we're talking about people involved in drug activity. You know? And if you know people that are involved in drug activity, as they progress. They go from dealing to using, their credibility as witnesses, everything gets challenged. It's a very complex investigation, and if we were to release my report before the federal agency determines that they're going to do a full-fledged investigation until they complete theirs, we could certainly jeopardize it. They are two separate investigations, don't get me wrong. So once they make a final decision, which I would think will probably be within the next 3 weeks, whether they're going to do their full-fledged investigation or whether they're going to drop it, quite simply. Once that's done, once they make the decision, the information, I'll publish my report.
Chief, if I may, you mentioned that as far as the Middlesex County DA's office, there was a grand jury convened, you seem to say. And
they presented evidence to the grand jury.
And you said, of course, the standard is conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. High standard of proof, and it's the reason why when somebody's found not guilty, it doesn't mean they're innocent. It just means you couldn't satisfy that high degree of proof. But were you suggesting that there was probable cause to indict somebody?
I'm not suggesting that there was probable cause to charge. I believe at some point there was probable cause, which is different than indictment, to charge somebody. And there was enough evidence. I believe we have enough evidence, but the problem is, again, to meet the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt, I certainly don't believe with the 6 years past, the credibility of the people, drug dealers involved as witnesses, that would meet that standard. I just don't think, I think there's some problems.
Well, is it fair to say that there might have been a reluctance from the Middlesex County DA's office to proceed on a case where they weren't confident of the conviction?
Oh, absolutely. I also think...
I just assume it's not easy to charge police officers with a crime.
And I'm not just talking police officers, you know, I mean,
That's the case.
Right, I mean, we're not talking just police officers, this case entails drug dealers and everything else. I think that, without releasing too much information, I think that the credibility of witnesses that we're going to present this case is dealing with drug dealers and drug addicts. So that certainly goes into, you know, are you certainly going to take the word of a drug addict over a police officer or vice versa, or even, you know, someone that's not? And the credibility of witnesses involved in these type of cases certainly has to weigh heavy on the decision to go forward or not to go forward.
I wouldn't assume they're any more credible at the federal level than they were at the state level.
That's correct, but again, from the internal aspect of it, the standard of evidence is much less.
Right, and that's getting back to Chief Richardson's investigation. So that there well could be a civil penalty.
Administrative action.
Administrative action.
I have a couple questions. Chief Donovan, you said that in 3 weeks they could decide to do a full-fledged investigation?
They could, the agency that's taken, the lead investigator doing the preliminary investigation, recommend that they take over a certain part of the case to her boss. And they're going to make that decision in the next couple of weeks. Once they do that, that's their investigation, totally separate from our investigation. And I feel confident at that time when the decision's made that I can release my report.
If they decide to go full-fledged?
When they do it, when they make that decision,
You will have a report then, you're saying, in about 3 weeks?
that's what I'm anticipating, yes.
All right, I mean...
That was the information we got from the person in charge, said, I'll have a decision for you in 3 or 4 weeks. That was a week ago. And again, my investigation is 95% complete. I'm holding off doing a report because if I issue it and publish it, it could compromise their investigation. Sure, sir.
Okay, that part I understand. The only thing I'm concerned about is if, you know, this thing, if they decide to go full-fledged, we'll look at another year. I mean...
Yeah, it's a totally separate investigation. Okay.
So yours will come out as written?
As finished, written, yes.
Now, the time on this has lapsed, is that correct? I mean...
The criminal charge.
So criminal charge. So if you mentioned it may or may not be involving a police officer. So if it's not involving a police officers, what can happen?
If it does involve the department, certainly could take administrative action.
On a police
Right, right.
But you said it could be either.
Federal statutes are different than state statutes.
All right, but the time lapsed to...
Right.
So the time,
Yes, it is.
so I don't mean to, are you suggesting that there's a
Yes.
difference statute of limitation
Yes, I am.
of federal criminal
Yes, I
action?
am.
Okay.
And the time is greater than the federal statute.
All right, well, you know, I wanted just to come in and explain it, because people are asking us all the time, you know, this thing is...
And seriously,
we were promised December...
I do a lot of these investigations, and regardless of whether it's 6 years or 7 years, I understand the chief and also this board has a duty to clear all the offices and get this off the table. It's been a stigma on the Dracut Police Department for 6 years. And, you know, we've done, believe me, I've done countless hours on this investigation with my team. I have 3 or 4 guys on the team. We've done surveillance, we've done all kinds of work on this. And, you know, we hope to come up with an answer very shortly.
So, if I understand it correctly, within 3 weeks or so, you'll be giving us your report after they decide whether they're going to do a full-fledged investigation.
And as soon as they clear it, and they told us 3 or 4 weeks, I'll hand my report to Chief Richardson, absolutely.
All right, I think that's what the people need to know. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
if anybody is out there just saying, geez, what's the matter with Dracut? Why can't this thing get resolved? You know, I don't think we look good out there. We really don't.
No, and I agree, and that's one of the things is it's problematic. It's 6 years after the fact, you're trying to do an internal investigation.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, that's about it. I'll be looking forward to that report in 3 weeks or so.
Does any board member have any further questions for the leader chief? Well, Chief Richardson, Chief Donovan, thank you for coming out and look forward to receiving your report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.